Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Victor fires, Audra jumps ship to Abbott Chancellor with revenge on her mind. The Young and the Restless, Y&R, spoilers indicate that Audra Charles Zalika Silver is walking a slippery slope at Newman Enterprises, one that could end up biting her if she isn't careful. Kyle Abbott, Michael Mueller, recently ratted her out for telling Nate Hastings, seen Dominic, that Victor Newman, Eric Braden, was Glissade's secret investor. Of course, Kyle ran back to Victor to tell on his colleague right away, and Victor called Audra out on it all as soon as he got the opportunity. Audra tried to reason that she was romantically involved with Nate and used discretion, however, Victor wasn't hearing any of it. Now, Audra has a strike against her where Victor is concerned. She is fuming mad and seems to have a revenge scheme in the works for Kyle, but this could only land her in deeper hot water. What Audra doesn't realize is that Victor used her to gain access to Glissade, and Kyle is a far more important piece in his revenge plan against Jack Abbott, Peter Bergman. Kyle isn't going anywhere anytime soon, but Audra is certainly the expendable factor here in this equation. Victor will likely fire Audra in the days or possibly weeks ahead. There's even a chance that Lily Winters, Crystal Collil, could take her Glissade spot. This may have Audra swerving her revenge plans a tad, with Victor as the main focus and Kyle as a casualty. Could she approach Billy Abbott, Jason Thompson, for a job? Nate and Audra have talked about the Newman versus Abbott feud before, so she knows that Abbott Chancellor's success and Victor's inability to take over the company will get under the mustache's skin. She's also intuitive enough to know that Victor's revenge plans don't only include Jack, but Billy too. Of course, Billy is a few employees down at Abbott Chancellor, so he'll jump at the chance to score someone as smart and business-savvy as Audra. He wants to be the one who calls all the shots, but he'll think of some swanky title at the company to make Audra feel important. Plus, now that Phyllis Summers, Michelle Stafford, has a role at AC, there's an opportunity for conflict between the redhead and the brunette as there's bad blood between them, thanks to Summer Newman, Allison Lanier. I&R spoilers suggest that the plot twists will continue in this storyline as Victor's feud with Jack and Billy heats up this fall. Will Audra jumping ship to Abbott Chancellor be one of them? Geno City was buzzing with the latest corporate shakeup, and it all started with one of Victor Newman's most ruthless decisions yet. After months of scheming, manipulating, and playing both sides, Audra Charles found herself on the receiving end of the infamous Newman wrath. When Victor fired her from Newman Enterprises, it was a move no one saw coming. But if there was one thing Audra had proven during her time in Geno City, it was that she was a survivor, and a dangerous one at that. The morning started like any other in the gleaming towers of Newman Enterprises. Victor, seated at the head of the conference table, his icy gaze cutting through anyone who dared oppose him, called for a meeting. Audra had prepared herself, as she always did, expecting this to be another day where she'd impress her boss with her sharp instincts and cutthroat business tactics. She had been angling for a promotion, thinking she'd earned it through her relentless ambition and willingness to cross lines others wouldn't even approach. But as Victor sat there, quietly observing the room, Audra noticed a change in the atmosphere. The tension was palpable, the way it always was before a storm. His silence lasted just a few moments too long, enough to make even the most confident executives uneasy. Audra could feel it in her bones. Something was off. Then, with the coldness of a winter wind, Victor's voice broke the silence. Effective immediately, you're done at Newman Enterprises, Audra. The words hit her like a blow to the chest. For a split second she couldn't speak, her brain scrambling to process what had just happened. She had done everything Victor had asked, even gone above and beyond to secure deals that others had fumbled. Why was she being let go? What could she have possibly done wrong? Audra's eyes flickered toward Victoria, who sat with a neutral expression, hands folded in front of her. There was no hint of surprise, no shock. It was almost as if she had been expecting this. And then it clicked. This wasn't about business anymore. This was personal. Audra had been too close to the power dynamics between Victoria and Victor. Perhaps she had overplayed her hand, thought she could rise too fast in the Newman empire. Victor didn't tolerate threats, especially those he hadn't orchestrated. Audra gathered her composure, standing from her seat, her voice steady. I see. Well, Victor, I won't forget this. The cold smile that curled her lips was a warning, a silent vow of vengeance. Victor's eyes never wavered. Don't make this worse than it needs to be, Audra. You're lucky you're walking out of here with your head held high. Many who've crossed me haven't been so fortunate. Audra's dismissal was swift, but her exit wasn't quiet. She stormed out of Newman Enterprises with revenge on her mind. If Victor thought he could get rid of her so easily, he had grossly underestimated her. Audra was far from finished, and she knew exactly where to go next. Meanwhile, across town at Abbott Chancellor, the tension had been brewing for weeks. Jack Abbott and Devin Hamilton had been toying with expanding their reach in the corporate world, quietly looking for someone who could bring a ruthless edge to their team. Someone who understood the cutthroat nature of corporate warfare and wasn't afraid to get her hands dirty. When Jack received word that Audra was out at Newman, he didn't waste a second. He knew this was the perfect opportunity to strike. Audra had been a thorn in the Newman family's side for a while, and if anyone could shake things up at Abbott Chancellor, it was her. Jack admired her cunning, even if he didn't entirely trust her. Devin, however, was more cautious. Jack, I know she's smart, but Audra's dangerous. She's got her own agenda. Jack smirked. That's exactly what we need right now. Newman's been too comfortable for too long. Audra knows their weaknesses. She's seen the inner workings. With her on our side, we could finally have the upper hand. Reluctantly, Devin agreed. The potential benefits were too great to ignore, even if it meant inviting a snake into their garden. It didn't take long for Audra to make her move. She arrived at Abbott Chancellor with a newfound fire in her eyes, more determined than ever to prove her worth. Her first meeting with Jack and Devin was nothing short of electric. I know Newman like the back of my hand, Audra said confidently, and I know how to bring them down. Jack leaned forward, intrigued. And why should we trust you? What's stopping you from doing to us what you did to Victor? Audra met his gaze without flinching. Because this time I'm not playing both sides. Victor made it clear I'm not welcome in his empire. I have no loyalty to Newman anymore, but I do have knowledge, valuable knowledge, that could shift the balance of power in this town. The question is, are you willing to take the risk? Jack studied her for a moment before nodding. We're willing to take the risk, but make no mistake, if you cross us, you won't just be dealing with Victor Newman, you'll be dealing with me. Audra smiled, the expression predatory. Understood. I'm not here to make friends, Jack. I'm here to win. With that, Audra officially jumped ship to Abbott Chancellor, but she wasn't just looking for a new job. No, this was about revenge. Victor had underestimated her, and that was his first mistake. He had fired her without a second thought, but he hadn't truly erased her from the equation. As Audra settled into her new role, she began laying the groundwork for her comeback. Every deal she made, every strategic move she orchestrated, was with one goal in mind: bringing down Victor Newman and the empire he held so dear. She knew where the cracks were in the Newman fortress, and she was going to exploit every single one of them. The war between Newman and Abbott Chancellor was about to escalate, and Audra Charles was ready to be the catalyst that would set the whole thing ablaze.